Hello, hello. It's time to listen to another episode of Chronicles of Email Marketing with Smiley. My name is Vivika, and today I have here really lovely guest, Joi Brooks, who is an email marketing specialist, but that's not actually the reason why she's here today. The most interesting reason why she is with us today is because she has actually been hosting a podcast about email marketing for already 4 years. And as today's podcast for us is also about podcasts, how to make them interesting, how to advertise them, then that's the reason why she's here. So if you still haven't heard about a single episode of Email and Coffee, then you are welcome to go to YouTube. I actually looked it up. It's on YouTube. She has her own channel. It has more than 1,000 subscribers, which is a great number. She has almost 300 episodes uploaded to YouTube, and the podcast has been running for 4 years already. So definitely you will hear some really good examples and really good stories from this podcast. And that's why she's here today with us to tell how actually she managed to get this far, to keep this podcast running for 4 years, had almost 300 episodes, and she has so many subscribers. So it's nice to have you here, Joi. Welcome. Do you want to add Do you want to add something about yourself that I don't know yet?
Oh, there's a lot that you don't know, but I'm not going to go that far. But yeah, I've been doing email marketing for a long time. It is and has been my career for about 20 years. And unbeknownst to a lot of people, I'm trying to retire out of email marketing and focus more on my podcast and also on my women's group for women in email marketing, that support group, that networking group. So even though I think like an email marketer and I act like an email marketer and I probably taste like an email marketer, whatever that tastes like, I taste probably more like coffee. I have been spending a lot of time with and I focused on the podcast Email and Coffee, which is this thing that happened like a voice inside my head that said, do it. And I kept saying, well, if I knew what it was, I would certainly do it, but I don't know what do it is. And it really, when you finish work and you're sitting watching TV and you're thinking about the day and your brain starts to say, do it. And you're like, what? Am I going crazy? What, and I kept thinking, what is it? There's something in my life that's missing because my brain is saying, do something. And I don't know what that something is. And it was a long time. It was a long time, over a year. And I kept thinking, oh, you know what? Maybe I'll create my own email marketing brand, I had purchased Email and Coffee because that's all I did was drink email and yeah. is do email and drink coffee. And that's why I purchased the domain Email and Coffee. I was like, hey, if anything spells me out, that's it. And that sort of started. I'm like, what can I do with that domain? Oh, I'll start a newsletter. And I'm like, so I'll write about what? And then the brain said, do it. And I'm like, what is it? I don't want to write about, So I did some blogs. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this because there are lots of blogs. And I thought, I've got a skill set. And my brain is saying, do it. And I hadn't connected the two. And then one day, it's like a story. One day it just clicked. I was like, podcast? I could do a podcast. I can do a podcast. And my brain said, do it. So I had a camera. I had a YouTube account. I had a microphone and I just did it. I called a friend up and I said, do you mind? Would you like to just talk about email? It's going to be called Email and Coffee. You're going to be my coffee. I'm going to be email. We're going to talk about marketing. She goes, sure. So I did a podcast. And I did that with other email people for a year and loved every minute. And at some point, the next chapter opens up. You want to talk about the next chapter of podcasting?
What's that? What's the next chapter?
The next chapter of podcasting is all of the work. It is the goal. It's like after, oh, this is fun, I'm doing it. It's like, what are you doing? What is the goal? And is it sustainable? How much on this topic, how many people will agree to talk about this? What is the value to my audience? Who is my audience? How am I going to have it? All of that comes into play where it was fun to do it, it now becomes, okay, so this is now work. Not work, 4-letter dirty word, but it's work. And I need to figure out the best, the most sustainable, if I'm going to outsource. All of these things come to mind. And I thought, okay, you know what? I'm doing it for a year. I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to talk to marketing people. Email and Coffee is going to talk to marketing people, not just about email. It's going to talk to marketing people about whatever they want. And I'm going to advertise it on LinkedIn, X, it was Twitter, X, and Instagram. And, I'm going to do that for a year. And I did that for a year. And I'm like, this is working. This is interesting. How about the next chapter? Chapter 3, year 3. I'm like, so I'm doing all of this work and I'm not seeing anything. Right? I'm not seeing stuff happen. And what does that stuff mean? I've got a YouTube channel and other people are on Apple Podcasts. They're here, they're there. I mean, they're all over the place. Right? And they've got a job and they seem to be doing better than I'm doing. And I'm also seeing a lot of email and coffees like Java and market. I mean, lots of rip-offs of what I was doing. I was like, so I must be doing something right because people are trying to copy it and they can't copy it. All power to them, groovy and all of that, because they've got their own brand. Let them do what they'll do. If they have market share, hey, that's great. What is my dream? Leave them be. What's my dream? So year 3, the next question was, what is it? You're doing it, but what is it? And the third year was most probably, I won't say the most painful, but it was a year of really, what am I doing? How am I going to best do it? Where am I spending my effort? Where do I need to spend my effort? How do I move it along with metrics? So at this point, since you're interviewing me and I could tell a story and you could walk off and come back and turn us off, why don't you ask me a few questions if you have any? Because I can go to chapter 4, because in the 4th year, a lot of different things start happening. And
you can keep telling your story. Yeah. And I will ask you a question. I'm making notes anyways.
Yeah. It's almost like a bedtime story. I'm expecting you to start snoring. So
no,
in this story of, I'm doing it. It looks good. It feels right. I'm getting guests. The true difficulties in doing podcasts is a few things. One, do you have lots of money and resources and you can just hire people left and right? Power to you. I love you. Go for it. I'm not that person. I'm a solopreneur. I don't have any money allocated towards this effort. I'm trying to retire and I'm trying to create something, some sort of a vehicle to pay it forward and to entertain and to bring talent other than myself, because it's not that I'm a has-been, but come on. I want to bring new talent to the surface. So doing all those things, how am I going to do that? I have to find the talent. And each time it's I have to find the talent. I need to interview the talent. I need to prepare a schedule for the talent. I need to record. I need to review. I need to cut it up, edit it, make content. I'm like giving myself, this is a full-time job.
It is. Yeah.
So it takes me, first of all, it takes me networking time. I need to join networking groups. I need to meet lots of different people. When it was evident to me that I couldn't sustain just conversations in email marketing, because while they're fascinating to me, that means the only people who are going to be listening to this will be email marketers.
True.
And I thought to myself, paying it forward means feeding the email community. So I turned it around in my head and I said, I'm email. My guests are coffee. Let's entertain the email marketing community, because email marketers do the same tasks, more or less, but for a variety of people. So if you've been in email marketing for any length of time, you've probably had a bird's eye view of 20 to 30 different businesses. I've done insurance, I've done finance, I've done pest control, I've done real estate, I've done food, I've done makeup, I've done toothpaste. I could go on and on and on. The list, yeah, incredible list. So, and I've done things that have been, that I don't even believe in. I'm like, yeah, okay, I just got to get this job done. I didn't really agree with the client, but whatever, just got to get it done. So I've done work for lots of industries, niches, and clients. And I want to entertain the people that do that work. That means I could talk about anything.
True. Yes.
Right? I'm like, good, because that's what you're going to do. So we're going into year 4. It's like the end of year 3. It's New Year's. I'm like, I'm going to focus on email. I'm going to focus on email and coffee. And I'm going to turn it into, I'm going to steal the Seinfeld line. And because I am I love Jerry Seinfeld. I watch Seinfeld. It was the show about nothing. Mine's the show about everything.
Opposite.
It's about everything. You want to bring it on, bring it on. If you feel, I look for people that are entertaining, that can tell a story. I look for people that actually have a story. They may not be the best entertainers in the world, but their story is riveting. And I look for people that have been through a few things here and there so that their experiences are meaningful to the people that watch the show. So I thought, okay, I've got that down. I don't think that my audience understands email and coffee, and I'm finding that I need to explain the format to people, because they're like, when I approach somebody and I'm networking and I approach somebody, would you like to be a guest on email and coffee? They're like, I don't do email. I'm like, I know, I'm email, you're coffee, and I have to explain. So that means that advertising, once you've got your podcast going, you've got to advertise it. And just like anything else, you've got to tell people what it is.
Exactly.
Right? So, and that means you got to know what it is. So that's something that has been the latest brain conversation going on. Joy, you have to create videos about email and coffee. I know. All right. When are you going to do it? Soon. All right. So, I realized that I have to do it. And I'm not a procrastinator, but I do believe that when the moment hits, it's like a flood. It's like a little water comes through, and then it's gush. And when the gush comes through, it's going to be authentic. People are going to go, oh, yeah, I get it now. So I slowly changed the concept of email and coffee, although the audience remains the same. I still have the same demographic audience, because that's who my followers are. And that's who is, influencing other people to watch the show, if anybody's doing that at all. And what happens at some point is that, at LinkedIn anyway, you get enough of your posts are seen by enough people that suddenly people who do YouTubes, who do SEO, who do that, start contacting you left and right, and they want to offer their services.
Ooh.
So like 3, 4, 5 a week, I get, oh, I love your show. I can get you subscribers and I can SEO. And so I hired someone to do that. And sneaky me, I said to him, I was very honest. I was like, I'm going to watch what you're doing. I'm going to pay you. I'm going to watch what you're doing. And after you're done, I'm going to do it myself. So enjoy what we're doing here. Understand that I need to do it myself because I can't have someone else SEO my content. They don't know what I have in mind. Now, I'm not saying that that someone can't have a crew to manage something. When you've got a really big vision, yes, that's where you go. But at this point, it's really still, it's not an infant, but it's walking. It's a toddler, right? It's walking around the house, but it's bumping into things. Can't feed itself. Needs still wearing diapers. So no longer needs mother's milk, but, needs the bottle. So, so I was like, what I did was I began to understand, which, it was pretty self-evident, but I just sort of needed to have somebody affirm, this is self-evident. This is pretty simple stuff. It's not simple because it's work, but when you do your podcasts, you've got some format. You're saying, I'm going to do a 30-minute show. And that's it. I'm done. 30-minute show. Okay. YouTube likes that, but doesn't love that. Right? It wants more content. I'm going to do a 30-minute show every day. Oh, okay. That's good. What's your content? Now you've got some stuff. YouTube likes frequency. I'm going to do a 30-minute show every day, and I'm going to do shorts. Secret sauce, shorts. Secret sauce. So now you're creating short content because nobody's, I don't want to say watching. I don't want to put myself down. Trust me when I say this. Nobody's watching 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. You've got a few people that might. Maybe they're in their car. Because I did have a few people tell me that, which I was amazed at. Oh, I listen to you when I'm in the car. I'm like, you do? Yeah. Really? Yeah. Like,
so they listen to YouTube while they're in the car?
I'm also on Spotify.
Okay. Makes sense.
Because I realized other people, like I said before, they went, I'll be on YouTube and I'll be on Apple Podcasts. I'll be here. They stretched themselves out. That's what they decided to do. I decided to focus on YouTube because I wanted to see if I could monetize. That was a challenge in itself. Not that I wanted to make $1 million. I wanted to see if I could do it. Like, how does this happen? How does one become Mr. Beast? How does one do that?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying I'm going to be Ms. Beast, although I'm pretty bestial with the 3 dogs in my house. But I'm thinking, I just want to know, how does one do this? Right. So I've had people come to me and say, we'll do your SEO. This is what you need to do. And they played around in the back end, at which point, when they said they were done, I went in and I looked and I was doing long form. I was cutting it into short, but like 5-minute content. Wasn't doing any shorts. And I really wasn't doing a title, doing a description, and doing keywords. I was quickly getting stuff out. And after I hired this resource to manage, I was like, oh, they're doing keywords. These keywords are not good. Matter of fact, they're a little odd, but they're keywords. So now I've got to pay attention. And then came, and I've got to do shorts. And I don't know how to do shorts. How do you do shorts? What's a short? And you can't really find the definition or how to do it, but you want to know what a short is? It's anything that you upload to YouTube that's less than a minute. YouTube creates the short.
It's
So
like
you
itself?
something shorts. You can't create a category and call it shorts and have it shared like YouTube shares its shorts. You need to create content less than a minute. YouTube creates it as a short, identifies it as a short, and begins to share it as shorts. I'm like, okay, now I got that. This is cool. I got that. So then I'm thinking, okay, so I'm thinking along the line of shorts. Whoa. Now every time I do an interview, I'm like, oh, this is a good short. Oh, this is a good short. Oh, and I'm thinking every time something is said, I'm taking notes because I'm going to create shorts.
So basically you cut those videos shorter.
I have a long form, which I feel has value for people who want to watch a show. And I do watch YouTube like TV. I don't watch TV anymore. I watch YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I have my channels and I actually I'll cast it to my television set. So at night, sometimes I'll watch a whole bunch of YouTubes. My favorite YouTubes. And they're podcasts. They're podcasts. So I'll say, I want to listen to Sam Harris. I'm just going to sit down and, grab a cup of coffee and watch a few episodes of Sam Harris. And I do that. Lex Friedman. Oh, Lex is a new guest. And Lex Friedman is a 3-hour podcast.
3 hours. And actually you have time to listen to it. Or do you listen to it partly?
Three or four, sits to listen to it. But I'll listen to it because I enjoy these, for me, these have taken over television because now I get to choose who I want to listen to, when I want to listen to them, and at the length, right? So, and I'm thinking to myself, am I so unusual that this is an unusual behavior? No one else is like me. I'm like, no, a lot of people must be like me.
Mm-hmm.
It must be happening. This behavior must be happening. So I just think to myself, I like the long form. I appreciate the guest that I have and the conversation and everything they're putting into it. And I'm not going to just chop it up like they're minced meat. I'm going to have that long form available. And then I'm going to have the shorts. And if I want to, another brain thing that's going on, a conversation in my head is maybe do a few 5-10 minute the pieces of content. I'm like, okay, let's put that on the shelf right now. So very important. Here's a review. Very important. Is the podcast sustainable? Can you see having people on it talking about the conversation longer than a year?
Mm-hmm.
What will it grow into, right? What will it grow into? Where are you going with this? Is it going to be a year and then you're just going to buy a bicycle and go for rides in the park? Is that what? How are you going to move it forward and advertise it? And then you build it. How are you going to get them to come? And that metric, subscribers, that's the most painful. Sometimes you're popular and you're there are people that are influencers on, there are truly influencers. Mr. Beast is an influencer, right?
Definitely,
At this
yes.
point, billions and millions of views. Come on, he's an influencer. He says, I've got a new show. Everybody's like, oh, wow, let's go see that new show, right?
Yes.
He could do whatever he could do. So he's become an influencer. When you start, you're not. I don't know what he did in the first few years. And I don't know how he became popular. Would I love to interview him. Huh. So
maybe you should.
Yeah, I know. I would love to. Those first few years of a podcast, if you feel that I can do this, I'm enjoying this, I'm growing, I'm willing to do some of the work myself, I can see, and I have the funds to, begin working with other people, whatever the model is, if you could play that out, what happens is you think to yourself, I need subscribers, and the only way to do that is to ask people to subscribe, because people will watch, and sometimes they are not. It's a call to action. Let's talk about email, boys and girls. So you send an email out and it's got 5,000 links in it. What is the call to action? Unless you tell them, buy now, click this, do that. If you've got an alternative of things for people to do in an email, they're going to do whatever they want to do. They probably will do nothing at all, because you've
Exactly.
given them too many options. You are the director. This is a movie. You have invited actors onto your stage. If you are the director and the actor comes on stage and you don't say spotlight, you don't say action, and you don't tell the actor what to emote, you've got nothing going on. You've got a bunch of things happening and no direction. So your podcast needs a call to action. That call to action is subscribe. Over the years, I've seen articles that it's not so much subscribers that drive earning revenue, monetization, although it helps. What is views. So you get those people viewing. But eventually, those people say, I'm going to subscribe because I like this stuff. I'll subscribe. I get it. I want to subscribe. Some of the problems with subscribing these days is that other people, if you're at YouTube, other people see what you subscribe to, and maybe you're afraid to let people know, oh, I subscribe to this, this content, because now they're like, oh, she listens to that? Is she that type of a person? Because, we're all social and these things are difficult. I've gotten to the point where I don't care. I don't care. I do what I do. I have my opinions, and my opinions change, and that's okay. And people don't know who I am and what I am and where I am and all that kind of stuff. I'm from New York. I've got a big mouth and I've got a big personality. People don't, and I've got an accent. People don't know that by now. Okay. They're not my people. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Just like email marketing. If they don't want my product, they're not your client. Right?
That's true. You need to find your own persons, own people to talk to.
Right. You're not trying to force them to buy your product, because they're going to buy it once and never buy it again. You want them to want your product. You want that relationship. It really is. It sounds too simplistic, but really that's what it is. When you've got a product or a service, you've got a passion, hopefully, about that product or service, and you're trying to solve other people's problems with that product or service. Therefore, your customers love you. You're solving their problem. You're feeding them. And they're like, oh, I'm so hungry. Food. This is good. I love them. And they buy again. That's the relationship you want, right? It's really pretty simple. Very simple. And so
it is.
The podcast, am I being oversimplistic? I'm not an influencer, but I'm hoping that my guests are. And I'm hoping that I'm just a vehicle that can spot a guest that has a story to share. That's where my talent lies in. And my talent also, something that I haven't done during this podcast, is learning when to shut up as the interviewer. You're doing a very good job. It's like you let the person, the guest, go. Let him go. Let him go. Odds are they're going to be able to tell the story that you hoped to share with your audience.
That is true.
Right? You hope that your audience appreciates that. And you can see that in the stats. Sometimes the metrics are a matter of how you promote it. And again, like I said, this is work. It's not going to come to you all at once. You're not going to be able to turn around and say, oh, I know the keywords for all my shows. You don't, because if you have a guest that's talking about something that's suddenly timely, that goes off on a tangent, you may say to yourself, hold on, we got something going on here. Just in this 10 minutes, I've got five different shorts that are off on a tangent, that are, wildly trending or wildly, important to share. So you don't know what you don't know until you know it, which is, one of my favorite sayings. And why I love doing the podcast, because I don't know. If a guest says, no, you're wrong, I'm like, oh, okay. Don't argue with them. Let them tell me why I'm wrong. And maybe I'll learn something. And so, when I do a podcast and I call it raw, I don't like to cut stuff out. Sometimes when I'm doing shorts, to get it under a minute, I need to jump around a bit, and I may jump around so I get that short really tight and it's edited. But for the long form, I don't cut it when I'm editing. So I listen to the whole thing again and again. You ever stare at yourself over and you're like, oh, don't turn around that way, Joy. Oh, don't say that, Joy. Oh, don't face, Joy. Oh, God, Joy. You could have had a glass of water. Joy, you need to shut. I mean, like, all I see is myself. So over the years that I've been doing this, I'm like, listen to the guest. Shut up. Don't listen to yourself. Listen to the guest and stop trying to edit yourself. It's the guest. So now when I play it back, I'll use the tools. So I'll be able to see the different tracks, and I'll know their track and my track. So I'll be able to get a transcript and listen to their tracks specifically, and be able to come up with content based on their tracks. And as I said, YouTube loves more. It's got to be more quality, though, not just pieces of crap. You need to realize if you had a conversation with a guest and it was flat, it's flat, it's bad. But if you could get something out of it, then do the best you can. Do the very best you can. I find even the flattest conversations aren't totally flat. You can find an angle.
That's true.
That's my job. I got to find that angle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I interviewed someone and I thought to myself, oh my God, this is, and then I'm surprised when I re-listen to it. I'm like, oh no, there are a few good things here going on. It's podcasting is not for the faint at heart. Not everybody needs a podcast. And podcasting for a business is different than podcasting for entertainment.
Definitely, because in business you need to have goals and you need to sell.
And you really need an audience. And podcasting for entertainment is a long-term project. And you've got to say to yourself, entertainment, who do you think you are? No, you're not Jerry Seinfeld. And then I said, no, I'm not Jerry Seinfeld, but I have a mission. And let's see where that takes me. So the challenge is different. And the honesty, for me, this is my journey. The honesty needs to be raw. I need to be able to say things to myself like, you need to listen more, woman. And you need to, let the guest speak. Don't interrupt them. Don't say, yeah. You could shake your head up and down, but even opening your mouth to say, yeah, you're actually interrupting the guest. The audience can hear that. I'm like, oh, there are lots of things here that I need to work on, and I'm still working on them. And finding the guests is the biggest challenge. Then making the guest look the best is the next challenge, and being smart enough to ask the right questions so the guest really looks like they're a genius and they're solving every problem since, the toaster oven.
That is so true. By the way, can I ask the first question?
Yes.
Because you have been talking, you have been talking about everything that I wanted to know. But one thing that I specifically want to know more about is that you mentioned that you need to have a relationship with your subscribers. So how do you actually create this relationship with your subscribers?
So it's somewhat one-sided because you don't see them and they see you.
True.
So the subscribers happen as you see the views happen. The views sort of happen first. That's the first behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So you see this content is working. Okay, what kind of content is this? Maybe I need to find other people like this. Is there like, I don't want to talk about the same subject, but is there something here that lasts long? And then when you start speaking to that audience, then you create the shorts that speak to that audience. And when you watch the shorts, does this work? Was my assumption correct? So you're playing A/B tests till 4:00 in the morning. You're doing all sorts of, and you're beginning to court your audience because you're providing, you're giving them the content that they want, or you think you are. That's the challenge. It's like, what do they want? Where are they? What do they want? I've started playing with Instagram. I don't know if that's doing anything. I really don't know, but I don't know if it's doing anything, but it's doing something. I don't know what it's doing, but it's doing something. I don't know what that is. It's too early because maybe 3 months ago, I thought, okay, I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to present my shorts. I'm going to go on a tangent. I don't want to do that, but I am. A lot of people tell me, oh, you want to put your short right there in LinkedIn. You don't want them to go to YouTube. I'm like, no, I'm trying to grow my YouTube. I'm not trying to grow LinkedIn. And they're like, no. I'm like, oh God, I get what they're saying because people at LinkedIn don't want to go. They want to stay at LinkedIn. They want to see your content. So I thought, okay, I don't want to do that with LinkedIn because the experiment with LinkedIn is to get those people over to YouTube. So let's leave that, but let's experiment with Instagram because Instagram is a pain in the butt and you can't link. I really wanted to say something that you can't link, right? So I'm like, okay, so that's the perfect venue to post the short video right there. So let's do that because that's holistic. Let's keep sending people from LinkedIn over to YouTube. And X is just bizarre. Yeah, it's a bizarre place. Anything goes on there. If you could do it and you could do it with style, anything goes. There's no rule. You've just got to keep doing it. And you can't be faint of heart on X because it's a little bizarre. You could get trolled. You could get, suddenly something happens. You're like, oh, I don't know how to handle this. Or nothing happens. Or, you start having a conversation with somebody as yourself and now your content otherwise is getting viewed or not viewed because you said a good thing or a bad thing. So X is bizarre, but Instagram is pretty tame as long as I decided, here's my goal. I'm going to post my shorts, post them right on Instagram, and I'm going to do that every day. And I'm going to add a little bit of other content, and I'm going to be consistent. It's going to have a very specific brand. Move it aside. I could do that. Now back to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a prospecting tool, right? It's where, the concept of LinkedIn is let's nurture prospects. Let's do that. How do you do that? Right. So everybody's doing what they're doing. And me being that contrary Mary that I am, everybody's like, oh, we're going to have, we have long content where people click. So I'm like, put up the short, give it an intro, hashtag it email and coffee, and move on. So that's what I'm doing. I'm probably every everybody's probably saying, everybody's probably saying, why is she doing this? She should be doing it this way. And I'm thinking, no, I am presenting them with less than 60 seconds of content consistently. That's the brand. They know they're going to click and go to YouTube. They know, they got it. So when I send them to YouTube for the short, let's make sure there's the correct branding there so that they can become more familiar with the full brand, maybe go to the channel, and let's make sure that I have a video there that says, hey, how you doing? Subscribe. And I'm like, I think that's what Mr. Beast did. But he did that a lot.
He still does that.
Right. And I'm like,
yeah,
that's the recipe. And that's how you get an audience. And you hope that you have an edge. That's all that it's not. All right, I don't want to, people say, Joy, you shouldn't say that about yourself. I call it an edge. You call it talent, skill, whatever it is. You have, whatever it is that you have it, we'll call it. You have it that makes people come back for more.
Sure.
And if you feel that you have it and that your content is doing that and you can get more guests and you've got some, you can sustain it, over 6 months, over a year, over the next year, then you just keep doing it. I've been on for 4 years and I've got 1,000 subscribers. That was painful.
It must be, of course.
Very painful. And as I said, I'm not so much concerned about subscribers. They're fly-by-nights. It's really views. I really want to see people view it. And
what is a good number of views for your channel?
I've been on for 4 years and I've got over 30,000 views.
That's a good number.
I think it's a good number for somebody who's doing it on their own, literally out of their garage. Okay, it's not my garage room, but it's me. It's me, and then it's me. It's me, myself, and I. All three of us are doing this, and I don't foresee getting anyone else involved. It's a passion project that is manageable and is because as I said, I retired from email. I could do this. I don't foresee becoming Mr. Beast. I don't see that. But I do foresee some amount of, email costing. Yeah, I know that. I've watching that for a while, that's all. That's really all. If I can get a few people doing that, and if I get to the point where YouTube recognizes the fact that I'm somewhat monetizable, and that happens, I'll let you know what that monetization looks like, because I don't know. Is it like $17 or is it 17,000? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. And I haven't. Mr. Beast, yo, dude, come on my show. I'd love to find out what it was like. Like
we have to tag Mr. Beast later to this podcast on YouTube.
A lot of people will shoot him down. A lot of people in marketing shoot Mr. Beast down. Oh, he's not focused. He's young. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't have a brand. I'm like, yeah, you don't get YouTube. YouTube is odd. And the innovation on that platform is, it can blow your mind. It's really creative. If you, like I said, if you come up with an edge, you could do something really interesting and you get your own audience.
Does commenting also play a factor in YouTube? Like if you get more comments, is it a good thing or it doesn't matter?
I think it's a good thing. That really shows YouTube that you got something going on. Because YouTube wants people, they want to sell stuff. Right? So the more they've got people on the platform typing away, this, that, and the other thing, the more they could sell because, the video's running.
Mm-hmm.
Which case, and now we have a moment from our sponsor selling God only knows what to God only knows who. And that's what they want. So
yeah,
YouTube is, it's like television in the 40s, in the 1940s. Like people like, who's going to watch television? I don't have a television. I don't want. And then suddenly everybody was like, did you see that TV show? And now we need commercials. It's the Wild West. You could do almost anything. But you really need to have the patience for it. Have the the will, the wherewithal, the patience, and stick with it. Right now the biggest thing is getting guests. It's difficult because
why is it difficult?
I reach out to people in the industry in email marketing, and I can get. I'm not trying to say who I am, but if I reach out to people in email marketing, I can get them on the show. That's easy. But it's the same conversation. I really need to have people in email marketing that have a really refreshing perspective. Because I don't want to talk about automations or lists. I've done all those things. It's like list management. Okay, let's talk about, I want to talk about, hey, you want to talk about a really interesting business case where you just let it fly, everything that happened, and the client that you're talking about is willing to talk about what happened. That's interesting. But if we're going to talk about anonymous case scenarios where, we're having one-on-ones about that, after 2 years, that's old. So I look to have conversations with email marketers that have a different perspective. What's fascinating about email marketing in Europe, as opposed to talking with agencies in the US, talking with, freelancers that are working from Asia in email marketing, talking about people that are, creating apps for email marketing. Those are really exciting. And I can get those people. I got to find them, but I can get those people because email and coffee, that works for them. It's transparent what the conversation is going to be. It's getting the other people that have nothing to do with email, where I'll reach out to them and I'll say, would you come on my show? And I know they're thinking, email. That's the work. That's my work for the next 6 months is getting the name out, promoting the name, and having everybody know that email and coffee, I'm email, you're coffee, and we're going to talk about whatever you want. But I've got that email mind, that marketing mind, where I'm trying to get to that call to action, and you're the call to action. So I've got to work on that. And you'll be seeing promotions very similar to this coming forward, because that's the job that I need to do to get that audience to move it to the next level. And you've always got to keep moving it to the next level, and you've always got to say to yourself, what's the next level?
But do your listeners also sometimes suggest you guests to invite to the show? Like maybe somebody says, hey, I know this one good person who had a really great story. Ask him for an invitation to the show.
Everyone. That's usually how I leave every conversation. But sometimes people, believe it or not. So let's say I'm talking with you, and we're having a long conversation. At the end of the conversation, I said, do you know anybody who would want to be on the podcast? However, I didn't ask you to be on the podcast. That's insulting.
Want somebody else?
That's insulting.
Oh.
It's difficult. So are you going to be like, she didn't ask me, but she wants my friends. What's wrong with me? Am I like chopped liver? What's wrong with me? So it's difficult. It's difficult. It is very difficult. So asking around networking groups. Sometimes you'll join a network. Sometimes I've joined a networking group. And I make it quite clear. I'm here because I'm looking for people to be guests on my show. Well, they all want to be on my show. Why? They all want to sell their product. I'm not a commercial.
If you want the story.
I want a story about your product. And in many cases, everybody's a coach. And I don't mind coaches or coaching, but I mean, come on, how many times can you talk about coaching? If I have another person to say the word mindset, intention, meditation, energy, if I have another conversation about that, I'm going to fall asleep. It's not that it's not a good conversation, but one or two or three of those is enough. And then we need to move on or find that person that says mindset and who says intention, but they don't even say those words. They are those words, and they're bringing it to the screen, and everybody gets it. And I'm not selling them, and they're not selling themselves. They're just talent. And there are a lot of people like that. There are a lot of people like that with missions who really have passion. And those are that's the real talent that I want for the show. You don't find them on every corner. And when I do find them, they normally want money for it because they're at that level, right? It's like, why am I coming on your show? You've got 1,000 subscribers. I have 2 million. Hello.
I'm Mr. Beast.
Yeah, exactly. You have to find the person who says, I was once there and I'm going to pay it forward. Right? I'm going to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what she's doing and I like that. And yeah, I'm going to do it. So I look for those people. That's the next level. And it's not easy. I'm not giving up. I ask people that, things, I ask celebrities. I just follow people, follow celebrities. They finally start following me, at which point I'm like, woohoo, message them. And I'm like, hey, here's the story. If they don't connect, they don't connect. I'll try once, I'll try twice, I'll leave it alone. I don't go for the third time. I still like their content because I like them. So at some point in time, maybe they'll come back. Maybe. And that will be the next level. All I need is one. All I need is one. You get that one person that's at that next level. And then the other people say, oh, well, he did that. She did that. I'll do that.
Exactly.
And of course, I have to assume that I'm really not that annoying. But, and I look at myself in the mirror, putting my makeup on, and I say, you're annoying. And I'm like, that's the brand. And that's the brand. I'm like, I'm that annoying person. That's the brand. I'm not the laid back. I'm not that laid back person. That's a different brand. And I've seen that brand, but I'm not that, I'm that New Yorker. Anybody wants to talk to that New Yorker, please message me. I'm on LinkedIn.
But how many times have you yourself said no to people who want to come to your show? Does it happen often?
I don't know if that's ever happened. Although I've had people who have said to me, oh, can I come back on your show? And I'm like, no. But I don't say that to them. But I'm thinking,
okay.
No. And I try to be as kind as I can without saying no. Right. Like, why did you, wait, I got a phone call, it's difficult because it's not so much that I don't like them. That's not it. It's just that I just feel that they're trying to sell too much. And I don't mind selling, but you've got to be that vehicle that sells without selling. Because
exactly,
if you're on a podcast, unless you're selling Zapier apps, Zapier, I'm from Zapier and I'm telling everybody everything about Zapier. Zapier, the brand itself sells itself. All you need to do is explain how to use it. And people are like, oh my God, thank you so much. Right? I never thought about using it that way. I was having a problem with that. You can make brownies out of it? How? Tell me how to make brownies out of Zapiers. I'll do it. So somebody like that, yes, absolutely. Somebody who can come on the show and who can talk about different ways of using a product. That's not a sell. That's application, right? When you get somebody on the show that can talk about AI and talk about how to use it, right? Then they're selling AI. They may be selling themselves, but if they really are telling the audience how to use it, that's worth $1 billion. Because
It is,
talking
yes.
about, I like AI, I don't like AI, I'm afraid of AI. Oh, it's never going to go anywhere. Oh, whatever, all of those things, and having a discussion like that. One discussion like that is fine. 5 discussions like that is ridiculous. One
Boring.
discussion about AI, right? And then the next discussion about application, yes. So, so that's what I'm saying. And those are the things that I think about. I'm like, I need somebody to talk about how to do this. Can I find somebody to talk about how to do this? Oh, this person just wrote a book that an author that I read. I want to have them on the show to talk about their book. Will they come on the show? Probably not, but I'm going to ask. So, so many different levels to the podcast and how it takes on its own life. So moving forward.
So what do you think, where will your podcast be in, say, 3 years?
I do 3, 6, and a year. So I in 3 months, I'm like, okay, I've got an idea. I'm going to play it after 3 months. And then at the end of 3 months, I'm like, this is working. Good. Tweak it. 6 months. Or this is working. Chuck it. Next. So 3 months, 6 months, a year. At the end of the year, I'm like, big focus. What am I doing now? So this focus this year was shorts, Instagram, keywords, really doing it. And watching the stats and seeing what happens. And the next phase is coming up, and that is possibly, as I said, I do long form. So this is long form, like we've been talking for 5 days in a week. So taking that long video and then making a bunch of short ones, and then making 1 minute, less than 1 minute ones. That's my 3 month, like, oh, should I do that? That's what I'm thinking about. That's the tweak that I'm thinking about.
I think the one thing is for sure that it will not be the same as it is right now, right? It will evolve and become even greater.
Yeah, it will evolve. It really will. It will evolve. As I said, my opinion is my opinion is that I'm willing to change my opinion at any point in time. And I have very strong opinions. I'm doing it that way, and that's the way it works. It's like, I'll say I'll never, as I'm saying the word never, I'm already beginning to change my mind.
That's a good thing. Can I ask you one?
Yeah. No, go ahead. I was going to say, flop. Don't ever be afraid that I said I'd never do it, and I have no integrity. Obviously, you're not trying to be, abusive. That's losing integrity. But ethically speaking, if you say that's not who I am, and you grow into something different, then, you've got to acknowledge who you're growing into and think, along the lines of my ethics, what can I do with this?
Totally agree. So we have already talked for almost an hour. So I want to ask you this one last question, which is that give me 3 tips of how to start a podcast if I have never done it before. What should I do?
Okay, so first thing, just do it. So
that's a good one.
One day, do it with your phone. If you don't have equipment, do it with your phone. Do it with your phone. And obviously, you need that edge. So what are you going to talk about? Just do it. Just have a conversation. If you're going to be a storyteller, whatever it is, start experimenting with your personality first.
Sure. So do it for yourself first, yeah?
Do it for yourself and do it. Just do it. Just say, okay, you know what? I'm going to get up and talk. And then at the end, post it. Don't replay it. Tip number 2. Don't replay it. Post it. Put if it's YouTube, if it's Spotify, if it's Apple, wherever it is, post it. Share it. Think of the next one. Keep doing that. And then, if you do have a format in mind, slowly move into that format, and then say, you know what, now it's time to Get a little bit more. Like I said, the 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Keep at it. If at any point in time you're like, I hate this, Safia. If you're doing it and you find somebody who you could do it with, and you recognize that they're more talented than you are, think about it. I have not had the fortune of working with other people like that. I'm constantly thinking about other people. Would I want to partner with that person? What would I say to that person? And I'm like, I don't think I want to do it. So it doesn't happen. But if you want to, do it. But realize that it's sort of like, it's a marriage. You're sharing, it's a contract. You're sharing love with someone. And if they don't love it like you love it, or if they love it in a different way, and it's a whole totally different way, then, that relationship's not going to work.
It's a divorce, yeah.
Yeah. So just do it. Very important. Just do it. If you're saying on one podcast, it may take you a little while to think about what the podcast is. Like I said, it took me a whole year of thinking content. But once I said podcast, I just did it. I just recorded something and I posted it. And I thought, that wasn't bad. I could do that again. I like talking to myself. It's okay. And then I invited somebody on. I'm like, oh, that was good. So I kept going. And you'll know in your heart of heart, this format really works, but it's not me. I need to find somebody who'll do it. Or, I can do this. I'm great. I'm fabulous. And I'm being honest and everyone else loves me, but I didn't have the time to do the editing. So the second tip is, how big is this? And is it sustainable? Where are you going with it? Look ahead and try to lift it there, aim it up. And if you're too busy, too this, too that, it's not your forte, you're not this, you're not that, there are thumbnails, there's keywords, there's content writing. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. If you can't do any of those things, you're going to need to partner with somebody. Do you have resources? So that's tip number 2. And tip number 3 is, after you've done it for 3 months and 6 months, and you're doing you're taking the temperature. I still got a pulse here. Yeah, it's a little on. Then, it's like any project. It becomes a business, and you've got to think, like you said, where are you going to be in 3 years? I don't really think 3 years. I think a full year. So think to yourself, where am I going to bring this? I've got the 3 month. I know what I'm doing. I know that the 3 months reflects the 6 months, but where am I going to be in a year? So tip number 3 is think about where you're going to be in a year. And if you're thinking to yourself, as I did, can I keep talking about email in a year? And the answer may be, yeah, I can. Because I've got an edge. This is my edge. Then do it. What came to me was, this is going to be the show about everything for email marketers. That's my edge. Because every business out there is a prospect for an email marketer. Every business.
And if I may, I will add a fourth tip by you, which is ask to subscribe. So if you actually want to grow, then ask people to subscribe to your channel.
Yes. I find that I don't do that enough, and I find that I don't ask people to be on the show enough, or ask people to ask around their friends, because I'm not, I'm going to use the word intentional enough. And because I'm thinking, oh, they know that I do this. They'll just do this because, again, that's that, you're not giving them that call to action, Joy. Maybe you need to tell them. And now I'm working on that. So, hey, everybody out there listening, if you want to be on Email and Coffee, please connect with me. And while you're at it, go subscribe.
Yes,
subscribe.
Exactly.
Practice to this email as well. This podcast
yes.
as well.
Yes, and subscribe to Chronicles of Email Marketing by Smiley as well, because if you want to get new content, you need to be subscribed to see it first.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, Joy, thank you. It was lovely to talk to you. I got so many new ideas of how to make this podcast even better than it is right now. And you as a podcast veteran, there is nobody better than you to ask advice from. So thank you so much for coming to our show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And please go to check out Joy's Email and Coffee podcast from YouTube and Spotify. Click the subscribe button for sure as well. And subscribe to our channel as well. And then see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.